Okay guys, I picked myself up a nice little brisket here. It's about 2.5 pounds. Of course, you're feeding more people, you're gonna want something a little bit bigger, but this will do for me. So I'm gonna flip this over from the fat side and begin to season with a generous amount of salt. I'd say, maybe a teaspoon or two. Another teaspoon or two of ground black pepper. For that smoky effect, some smoked paprika, and if you can get the smoke, by all means use it because it is so much better than the regular. Another good teaspoon or two of garlic powder. You just have to have that old garlic powder. And last but not least, some onion powder. And you know, I should have used rosemary, but I didn't have any on hand. Okay, using your hands, go ahead and rub that seasoning into the roast. And you can do this on the front, the sides, you know, everything. Even a bit on that fatty side on the back. Now our roast is nicely seasoned. I'm going to throw a bit of oil into a pan over high heat. Put that roast in and we're going to take a minute to sear this on all sides. And in my humble opinion, this searing is really important because it locks those juices and flavors of the meat right in. After a few minutes, we really got a nice sear on the back end of the roast. So I'm going to flip it over to the side and do the same thing on the side. And if you really have your pan hot, it only takes a few minutes, like about, 2 or 3 minutes on each side to sear this up. And be sure to stay tuned for our next video because it is hobo burger wraps on the grill. They're foil wraps and they are so good. So just go ahead and flip this over to the last side, but the sear is looking really, really good, my friends. Alrighty then, after a few minutes, all sides are basically seared up. So we shall just remove the roast and set it aside on a plate. In the same pan with all those wonderful flavors, what you want to do is throw in a medium-sized chopped onion. And what I've done, I've reduced the heat to medium-high, and we're just going to stir this around and saute those onions until they become a little bit on the translucent side. And I mean, you could even throw in a few cloves of garlic too, but this is smelling oh so good. There is nothing nicer than the smell of sauteing onions. Okay, as you can see here, our onions are browned a little bit and on the translucent side, and these are going to be a base in our roasting pan for that roast. So just go ahead and throw these into the bottom of the pan. That beautifully seared brisket over top of the onions. Of course, we are roasting this, so I'm going to put some baby carrots along the side, followed by a few garden fresh taters. And I mean, by all means, use the veggies of your choice. This is just my preference. Followed by a cup and a half of beef broth because we are going to make gravy out of this after. Go ahead and put some aluminum foil over top of the baking dish. Funny, when I was a kid, I could never say aluminum. Okay, I'm going to throw this into a 300-degree Fahrenheit, 150 Celsius preheated oven for a couple of hours. So roasting this is about an hour a pound, so I'm using a 2.5 pound brisket, so 2.5 hours is good for me. Of course, if you're using a bigger piece of meat, you're going to let it cook longer, but slow and low is the process. Okay guys, after about 2.5 hours, we are done, and doesn't this look incredible? Oh, I mean, the smell is so good. And I'll bet you any money that this is so tender. Alrighty then, I'm just going to throw our brisket onto a plate. And again, I just had to take the time to get this shot. What you want to do is toss some aluminum foil over the top and just let this rest while we move on to our next step. Which is, of course, making the gravy. So all of that beef broth and that juice is going into a pan. And over medium-high heat, just go ahead and bring this to a boil. In with about a teaspoon or two of Worcestershire sauce, a few cracks of ground black pepper, and a good crack of salt. Grab up the old whisk and give everything a good mixing together, and you notice there's still some onions in there, which makes the gravy super good. Now in with 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch diluted in 1.5 tablespoons of water. Of course, this is our thickening agent. Once again, grab that whisk up and whisk until that gravy becomes thick and rich. I don't know about you, but there is nothing better than a nice gravy. Okay, this is looking pretty darn good to me, guys. Now that brisket is rested and I've removed the foil, we are just going to cut into this and see. And look at this, it just slices like butter. Oh, ever so tender. And to me, this is about the perfect doneness. Is between a medium rare and a medium. Oh, and it's looking so good. And really, I just cannot get over the way it slices, just so beautifully. Of course, for presentation purposes, I'm going to put some carrots around there and some potatoes just to make it look all pretty like. And people are going to say, oh my goodness, that looks good. I want to dig in. I think anyway. I don't know, my friends, to me this does look pretty good, and of course you can't forget some of that gravy over top of the beef. Oh, just amazing. And some people might say, oh, he's always bragging about his food, but you know, I believe if you do something well, it's worthwhile bragging a little bit about it anyway. What do you think? And there you have it, guys, our nearly perfect beef brisket, at least in my opinion. Of course, as always, you can let me know when you do try it. But believe me, without the word of a lie, you dig into this, it is ever so tender and juicy. I love the potatoes, I love the gravy, and even the carrots or whatever veggie you decide to put alongside of it. Simply a must try. And as always, if you like what you saw, give us a like because it does help to promote our videos. And most of all, subscribe if you're so inclined. And watch our myriad of videos because we have just about 1,500 now. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care and see you next time.